This episode is brought to you by Americas Rehab Campus. Get on the road to recovery with the best rehab in beautiful Arizona. Dial 1-833-272-7342. That's 1-833-ARC-REHAB.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are now tuned in to the Archer.
Good morning. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of the Arcast. This is episode 49. My name is Buddha.
I'm Vance.
And I'm Matt.
Yes, we're here today, episode 49. I cannot believe it. We're getting closer to the 50s, and as we get closer and start approaching those higher numbers, we got to bring some guests in here that are just going to be some heavy hitters. So ladies and gentlemen, please, let's give a warm round of applause to my homeboy right here, alumni, class of 2018, Chaz. What's going down, dog?
How you doing?
Yeah.
Thank you for having me.
For all the ladies, I'm just warning you in the house, he got that warm, sultry voice right now. How you doing, dude?
I'm doing good. How you guys doing?
Good, man. Good, bro. It's a pleasure to have you down here. When we started this originally, it's been almost a year now. You're one of the first people that popped into my head. Like, I wonder if Chaz would be down to come through.
This place, I'm really thankful for what this place did for me. The people that were here, they really taught me a lot, and you were a part of that. So I appreciate you having me.
Thank you, bro.
Nice.
Thank you, man. So, man, it's been crazy. How long? It was 2018 when you were here, right?
It was 2018. I left. I know I left here on April 16th of 2018. Got here in January.
April 16th of 2018. Man, it's coming. I'm really bad with math. What is that, like 5 years or something? It's been a long time.
I think it's
Coming up on 5.
It's coming up on 5 years. That's incredible, man. How many, do you remember when you initially came in, how many clients we had around that time?
I want to say like there was maybe like 30 guys and maybe like 20 girls. Sounds about right. And it was always shifting as I was here for 4 months. So
oh wow, in residential?
And no, I was in residential for a month and then in ILP for 3 months.
Oh wow.
So towards the end of my stay here, they started to actually have more clients, but I was already on my way out and I could see there were some changes happening.
Yeah. Yeah, man. It's been changing a lot. Matt, how many clients we have now in res?
Oh, geez. We have, I think, a little over 100. And then we have 130 some in our IOP and anywhere from 15 to 25 in our detox at any given time.
That's awesome.
There was one like 8 BHTs, so I don't even know. I don't know if that would have worked.
No.
We're down to 3 now. We got 3 on the floor. But nah, man, that's cool, bro. Thank you so much for coming, dude.
Thank you for having me.
So, yeah, man, I mean, I don't know if you've ever had a chance to listen to some of the previous episodes that we did, but it's been an amazing opportunity. Everyone comes through, you know, we talk about, you know, where they grew up, you know, their life before they came here and where they're at today. So, you know, if you don't mind, man, I want to dip into your childhood a little bit. Where are you from? Are you from Tucson?
I'm from Tucson. I was born in TMC.
Okay.
Went to Saguaro, Sabino. Where else did I go? I went to CDO.
What year was that?
I went to all the years. That's from 1999 to 2000, or from 2000 2005. Because I'm sorry, I take that back. It's from 1991 to 1995 because I was supposed to graduate in 95, but that did not happen, especially since I kept getting kicked out of school. I was at a whole bunch of schools. So,
man,
did you play sports?
I played football for Sabino the first year, nice. But after I showed some behaviors that my coach did not appreciate, basically chasing after cheerleaders, he let me know that I did not need to show up for practice for JV season.
Wow.
That's for you, bro.
Yeah.
Hormones running wild.
Yeah, I was out of control.
I got kicked out of basketball because I was too short.
Oh, man.
Man.
Spud Webb played. He was like 5'4".
What's that?
Spud Webb played. He was like 5'4".
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, man. I never got picked, bro. I was a fat kid on the field.
They picked you for dodgeball, didn't they?
Yeah, that's right. But, man, that's crazy. So, all right. And what side of town did you grow up in here?
Well, every side. I was on the east side. My mother she thought that a change of location would help me. So I ended up at CDO, like I said.
Okay.
I got kicked out of CDO for inciting a riot.
Okay.
Nice. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I wasn't playing.
Party, bro.
Yeah.
What year was that?
That was probably like 93, 94. Yeah, so she moved me to that side. And then basically I just decided that I wasn't going to live with my parents. I didn't need to live with my parents. So there was always some girl bringing me home to her family saying, this is my boyfriend and he lives here now. You know?
All right.
Wow.
Hey, man, it's that voice.
So growing up young, I mean, how was your household?
So here's like a flashpoint in my life. So I was like 12 and I came home from school and I walked into the living room and there was a bunch of suitcases and bags packed. And I was like, what's going on? And my mother came out and she ran up to me and she kissed me and she said, Mommy loves you and I'll be back. And I didn't see her again for months after that. I found out very abruptly my parents were getting divorced. And then shortly after that, my father displayed some violent activity towards me. And one day, another one of my friends' families found me outside their house, beaten up and bloody. And they were like, you know what? You don't got to go home no more. And so from that point on, for the majority of my teenage years, I lived with all these families that basically they take me in. I lived there for 6 months and they would pass me to the next family. I would go and live with the next family. And sometimes I'd go back and stay with my mom, but I really distanced myself. Like I was mad at my mother for not being the type of mother that I thought that she should be. I was mad at my father because I felt like my mother had ruined my childhood. Like, how could you destroy this family that my father, like he lived in Phoenix and I didn't want to have anything to do with him. So I basically had control of my own life because these people that were letting me live with them, they weren't my parents.
Yeah.
They let me live with them, but I didn't have any rules.
So you obviously were an only child?
No, I had a little sister that my father took with him. She's 4 years younger.
Okay.
And I have an older sister, but she's 10 years older. And so she was long gone. She was out in Vegas doing her own thing by this time.
Okay. And thank you for your transparency because this is really showing where things are heading.
Right.
Yeah.
Right,
Starting from childhood.
Like
You're reminding me of my childhood.
I know that is like like I said, a flashpoint. Like from that moment, I remember that moment specifically, and everything began to change after that. It was shortly after that point that I was in school, and I went from being on the honor roll and being student class president to I got arrested my first time for trying to set fire to the school with my friends.
Wow.
So the behaviors immediately began to change after that moment.
Now, was your dad violent before, or was that the first time that he had shown those
not to these levels.
Yeah.
Not to these levels. So it was very apparent, and I see now that like there was a lot of anger, and I was also acting out and trying to understand like this new paradigm that was happening, and I was not aiding the situation at all.
Yeah.
So,
well, I mean, imagine being 12 years old and just being hit like that, coming home, and then your whole world just gets thrown upside down, and how, I don't think we learn how to control our emotions. I'm 47 and sometimes I still struggle at 12,
The funny thing is I look back now and I remember shortly after that, there was a young lady who was moving out of state, and I had to be like around 14, 15 at this time. And she was moving out of state and she asked me to come over and spend some time with her. I knew this young lady was wealthy. And I had a couple of my friends they were driving me over there, and I was like, "Oh, she's rich, by the way." And they're like, "Oh, for real?"
Rich 14-year-old? Wow.
Well, her family.
Her name was Paris Hilton.
So I'm off in the room with this girl, and they're ransacking her parents' room, and we get all this gold, and we take all this gold to a pawn shop. We have somebody's mom sell it for us. Of course, they come looking for us. The cops like, we know you did it. Just admit it. We're like, we ain't admitting nothing. It was like $30,000 worth of gold that we ended up getting like $900 for.
Wow.
And I remember because it was the first time that they brought my mother and my father because they made them pay restitution for me. So it was the first time I was in a room with my mother and my father. And this lady, this counselor was in there, and she was saying like, do you know that I've been talking with your son. If you say the word divorce, like he will immediately shut down and start crying. And she was telling them like, you need to get him in therapy Like, he needs therapy for this. Like, I don't know how divorce affects other people, but for me and my situation, it was like a perfect storm. And why I never got therapy from that point, I don't know. But I specifically remember her saying that. And I look back at that now, and I just think that's interesting that she said, if you just say the word divorce, and he cannot handle that.
Yeah.
Wow.
How old were you at that point?
About 14.
14, okay.
15, yeah.
Wow.
So it would have been 2 years.
Yeah.
And it's still just pounding away.
Yeah.
Did you have was there like any kind of drug abuse or alcohol, in your family anywhere?
I had never saw my mother or my father ever take a drink of anything. They didn't smoke cigarettes. We were in church every Sunday. We were in church all day Sunday.
Yeah.
We went to that kind of church. And sometimes Monday and maybe Wednesday.
Yeah.
So there was nothing that I saw that made me ever want to drink or take drugs. My first experience with drugs, I was like 15, and this guy was like, "Hey, you want to smoke this weed?" And this other guy was with us, and he was like, "That's drugs. I'm not taking it." And I was
Like a Dare commercial. That's drugs.
I was like, "Sure, you know what? I'll try it." And like, so I started out just smoking a little weed, and things changed after that, though.
Yeah.
Man. And with the first time you smoked, I mean, were you hooked on it, or was it just that feeling that changed?
Smoked weed, like, I thought it was cool. I thought music sounded better. You know what I mean? I thought
Food
nature
tasted better.
Food tasted better. I was hungrier, but I still didn't see. It wasn't like I had to smoke weed or anything. It was just something to do whenever we had nothing to do. It was just that's what everybody did. So let's do it.
You're obviously an upper kind of guy like myself, and not a downer.
Yeah. I like to go.
Yeah.
I'd like to go.
Yep.
And at this time, did you have any type of like a steady place that you were living, or were you still moving in and out of different places?
Still moving in and out of places. I'd get with my friends, and we'd go to a party on the south side, and I'd make friends with the people on the south side, and I'd live with them. I'd end up staying there for a few weeks, and then making my way back. Like, I was really just doing whatever I wanted to do, and I had this sense of like, I'm in control, like invincibility, like whoever I'm that cool, I'm that dude. I can go wherever I want to go. Like, I can be with whoever I want to be. It was a definite change in my attitude from just a few years prior.
And your mom and dad, I know you said that there were times that you spent with your mom. Were they just kind of? Did you have any relationship really with them, or were they kind of put you on the back burner for a little bit, or how did that work?
I don't know how it happened that I would have thought that I would have ended up with my dad since he took my little sister with him, but somehow I ended up with my mom, and I really feel like my mother did not know what to do with me. She was trying to work and keep like a roof over our heads, and deal with this son who all of a sudden thinks he's a man and only want to listen half the time, doesn't go to school. I think that she wanted to give me rules and balance, but I was just not. I didn't stay still long enough to listen to anything. I did not stay still. If you don't like what you say, I just won't come home for 2.5 months.
Wow.
So you mentioned you guys went to church when you were a kid. Who was a Christian, your mom or your dad?
Both.
Really?
Both.
Both?
Both.
Yeah.
They both were. They were very active in the church. Still are, but I think.
Well, just a second. You said that they got divorced, though. The Bible says you don't get divorced if you're a true Christian.
I don't think it works like that. I don't think that's how it works. Like, I think what happened with my parents is there was some violence and some infidelity going on, and I don't know that it would have been a good idea for them to continue to cohabitate. In this instance, I think it was better for them to go their separate ways.
And that's biblical too, because Jesus even said, the only time I want you guys to split up is if somebody's cheating on the other one, then you can split up.
Yeah, so it was definitely better for them to go their separate ways.
Yeah, and I think for a lot of people too. I mean, we talk to people on a regular that suffer from like spiritual, like faithful trauma. You know what I mean? And I think it's a lot of the people that are raised in that. I mean, we're fragile, right? So we're constantly on that edge of like battling of the flesh or whatever. So to me, it makes sense. There's a lot of people struggling that are trying to go, you know what I mean? Trying to stay faithful, but we're still human beings at the end of the day.
Yes, we are.
Yeah.
That's crazy, man. So high school, you're getting kicked out. You're doing all of these things. Did you graduate?
I did not graduate. As a matter of fact, I think I got up to 8th grade. Like I have an 8th grade, as far as credits go, I have an 8th grade education. Now I got my GED later on, but that's as many credits as I got up to 8th grade.
Wow.
Oh, I'm sorry, 9th grade.
And you said before that all happened, you were like honor roll, class president, like just completely immersed in your school and doing all that. Yeah.
I love school.
And that just changed right
Instantly.
after that day.
Instantly.
Now I'm just kind of forecasting here, but I feel like probably you moved into the harder type of drugs because they took all those feelings away. Like when I did the drugs I did, meth and those things, I was numb to everything and I didn't have to feel the pain of, my mom abandoning me at 9 months old and stuff like that, and that's why I continued to use.
So the first time I drank, from day one, I was a blackout drunk.
Wow.
First time I drank,
part of my
I drank
testimony.
all the way. Like I drank it all. Like I was like, if there's anything left, it sips, I'm drinking it all.
Wow.
And
How old were you when you had your first drink?
I think that was probably around 15, 16 too.
Okay.
Around 15, 16 too. I drank everything that you could provide for me.
Yeah.
And from then on, I drank that same way. Like there was never an instance where if there was any alcohol left, I would leave some. Like I'm drinking as much as I can. Like I was that guy with like Genco jeans and like 240s.
You did not have Jinko jeans, bro.
You were big then.
Did you really?
You were big then.
It was cross colors and Genco jeans and
man.
Jabot, and I had 240s. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Always two
Bro.
240s of OE.
You could have put gallons of milk in those jeans, dog. That's crazy.
It was OE. It was King Cobra. It was
Any Mickeys?
Mad Dog. I didn't like Mickey's. I didn't like the taste of it. But, yeah. Mad Dog, like anything like that. Like, so I learned to drink like that. And the issue was I still wanted to be able to talk to women, though. That's in all honesty. I still want to be able to talk to women. So one day this dude was like, hey, try this cocaine. Then...
How old were you?
This is probably around 18, 19 now.
Dewey, you don't want this.
Yeah. So I do cocaine and I'm like, oh my God, like I just drink all that alcohol.
And I'm sober.
But I'm sober. So then it became like, this is my story for the next 15 years. As drunk as I am, it's as much cocaine as I need. Like I need this much cocaine for this much alcohol. I need this much alcohol for this much cocaine.
Wow.
And I lived like that, like showing up at work, being in relationships, just always trying to find some type of balance between as drunk as I need to be, but I need this much cocaine to balance out that amount of alcohol. And I drank a lot, so I needed a lot of cocaine.
Yeah.
That's nuts. So like those two together, because I've never dabbled with it before, but I'm saying like, did it keep you from getting like that real like nasty like falling over drunkenness? Is that what it keeps you alert?
Right.
That's
so
crazy.
it's like it doesn't matter how much you drink. You're going to be alert and able to speak, but also like you have no inhibitions.
Oh my God, that's so horrible.
So I could say whatever I want to whoever. I could do whatever I want, and I'm drunk, so I have like no fear, and I'm super coked up.
Wow.
It was just I lived that way for a long time.
And were those the two like the demons in your life? Did you go into anything harder than that?
So I wanted to read this little story for you. This was in like the AP News on October 3rd of 2018, right before I got here, a few months before I got here. And it says, authorities in Yavapai County say 2 Phoenix area men have been arrested after a drug seizure at a motel. County sheriff's officials say 41-year-old Charles Taylor of Glendale remains jailed on suspicion of assault, kidnapping, possession of a narcotic drug for sale, possession of drug paraphernalia, and misconduct involving a weapon. Deputies were called to a Cordis Lake motel about reported drug use. They searched the suspect's room and seized 19 grams of meth, 5 grams of heroin, marijuana, drug pipes, and hypodermic needles.
Ooh.
So what happened was I went from, first of all, when I was doing cocaine, I started meeting all these dealers, and I became comfortable with all these dealers, like how they worked and how they get down. And they would, eventually I would do so much, they'd have me testing batches. They'd be like, hey, test this and tell me if it's too cut. That's how much I was doing at that time. After there was a night when I was super drunk and I couldn't get a hold of any of my cocaine dealers. And the same way that guy came to me and said, hey, try this cocaine, you know what I mean? This guy came up and he was like, hey, smoke this meth. It's going to make you feel better. You won't be so drunk. And I was like, I remember being like so drunk, like it was sunny outside and I felt like it was dark. And I was like, I need something. He was like, this is going to make you feel better. And just like cocaine, I immediately became alert. So I was like, oh, you know what? This is great. So I switched from alcohol and cocaine. I started doing like an eighth or a quarter ounce of cocaine, and I'd buy a quarter ounce of meth.
Man.
And I would be doing them both back to back. Like I had no idea what I was doing. But I was just going after it. I was going at it.
Man, this is like, I don't even have it anymore. I was going to say I have like this drum pattern. That's what your heart probably sounded like.
Yeah, it had to have been crazy. I actually had to go to a cardiologist recently and get checked out. And they were like, you're okay. Because I went for a long time like that.
So you're doing the meth, you're doing the cocaine, and you're living on your own at this time, right? Are you working? You holding down a job?
So around this, no, I can't hold down no job. I went
Love
from
the honesty.
I went to, like, I worked for all these companies, great companies, had great opportunities, and always it would be less than a year. They would let me go. The last one I had during this era was I worked at Humana Insurance, and I was an insurance agent. Had all the opportunity to do great things, pissed it away. So what I did is around this time I went and I had bought a computer, and I bought it off like OfferUp or Craigslist or something.
Yeah.
It didn't work. So I started tinkering with it and I was able to fix it. So I bought another computer and I was able to fix it. So I found that I had a knack for fixing computers and electronics. Okay. Well, as it turns out, drug dealers have a whole bunch of electronics that they've been traded or like, hey, well, I'll give you this for whatever. And they don't know what to do with it. So here I come. They're like, look at this guy. He can fix my equipment and he's able to make business connections. Like he can walk into this business and he can sell this stolen stuff to somebody. So I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to give him all the drugs he wants, but he got to come stay with me and he going to make me some money because the money he makes off these electronics is nothing compared to the drugs. So, and that's what I did. So I became like a drug dealer capo. They just have me in there watching everybody, moving electronics. Plus, it looks like if I'm there and all these cars are pulling up, it looks like we're just selling electronics. It doesn't look like we're selling drugs. It looks like we're just selling electronics out of here. And so I didn't have to work anymore because I was fed, clothed, and made money off of drugs. And I didn't need to buy any drugs.
Wow. That's nuts, dude.
How long did you do that for?
Years.
Yeah.
That's probably from about 34, 35 to 41.
So a good 6-7 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know,
we're talking about police raids, getting robbed, guns pointed at you, getting shot at, people trying to set you up. The one thing I found out is when there's a guy and he has all the drugs and you're like his number one dude, everybody else loves you and hates you because they want your position.
Yep.
And so like girls trying to set me up, guys trying to set me up. Like I say now, like, oh, I can spot a setup from far away because I've been set up several times.
Man.
Yeah. When you start thinking about, hey, you know, I was fed, I was clothed, all the drugs I could use, and money was there, and all that, it sounds cool, right? But then on the flip side, every day you're paranoid as hell.
Yeah.
Because you're worried about someone setting you up, someone killing you, like all that stuff. It's like, you know, there's a lot of cons to those pros too, even when you're using.
And those drug dealers were fickle.
Yeah.
Like something comes up missing, it don't matter who did it.
Yeah.
I let it happen.
Yeah.
I was in charge. I was supposed to be watching out. I invited those people over. It was you're right. Like I became super hyper vigilant of everything. And very, I don't know. I wouldn't say I don't know if paranoid is the word, but healthy fear.
Bro.
Because it was out of control. Like you don't know what's going to happen at any time. Anything could pop off.
I really appreciate your testimony, because a lot of people that are listening right now might be able to, see themselves going through the same thing that they're hearing you were going through. And then even parents maybe can see what their kids might be going through that they don't even know about. So I really appreciate this.
And the weird thing is, I didn't want to give it up because I felt so powerful. Like, look who I'm with.
I made it.
Yeah, you see who I'm rolling with. You know what I mean? Like, you see the keys or you see what I'm driving. You know what I can do. You know what's going to happen if you touch me. And at the same time as I had this theory of power, I could be. It's like the people on the outside. So all your people out there, y'all can't touch me. You know what I mean? If you see me walking down the street and you try to jump me, you know we're coming back, and we're coming back hard, and you know what's going to happen to you. And at the same time, sometimes drug dealers would be like, you know what? I need some money. I lost all my money at the casino. So go over there and take everything that he got. And you know what? If he try to put up a fight, beat him up and take all his money, take all the drugs, take it all back, because I need it all back right now. So I was like in this state of I'm powerful over y'all, but also getting victimized by the same people who are protecting me. So it was, but I didn't want to leave it because it's all I knew.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you feel like you had, being in that circle with those dangerous people that you were with for so long, did you feel like they really had your back? Because I couldn't imagine there was like real loyalty there from them. You know what I'm saying? Like living that lifestyle, everyone's shady.
It's so hard. The lines are so blurred. It's so blurred. Like, so I remember this guy came over, and all these people had bought me a fifth wheel to live outside of in the backyard of the house. They bought a fifth wheel for me, and I lived out there, and I had like all the gangsters, all the hoods over there, and they were in the fifth wheel with me. And this guy walked in, and he had given me $20 for something earlier, and I spent the money. And he was like, "Hey, do you got that $20?" I was like, "No." And he was like, "You don't have my money?" And I was like, "No." And he started talking a little crazy. And this other dude stood up and be like, "You know who you're talking to?" And he kind of like stood back, and he was like, "You don't ever come in here and disrespect him." And everybody else stood up, and then they started whomping on this dude while I just sat there. You know what I mean? I just sat back and watched them beat this dude up. There's people dancing around him while they're beating him up. They're filming him, beating him up. You know what I mean? They like stripped his clothes off.
Young Bloods playing in the background.
Yeah. Right.
This is all in Tucson. This is all in Tucson,
This
right?
is Phoenix.
This is up in Phoenix.
So Phoenix is where I left Tucson and went to Phoenix, and I had just met all these people and lived on this block.
That's crazy.
And so from that, it's like, oh, these people are with me. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't even say even get them. You know what I mean? Like, they just get them. Like 2 weeks later, I got jumped and beat up by those same people.
Who were beating the other guy up.
Right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because my girlfriend, the girl I was dating at the time, she like stole something from them. So like, you know what I'm saying? They said I didn't check my female. So I had to take a beating.
Man, you say you were set up, you had your clothes, your fifth wheel, you're doing your thing, but were you losing yourself like mentally?
Oh, so here I am with all these stolen electronics. At some point, I decided, you know what? Like, I don't even need to be up under these drug dealers. Like, I had made enough connections in like actually corporate America to where I had businesses I could walk into and give them a little bit of money, and they would give me a whole bunch of electronics because they knew I'd come back with more money and I could fix whatever. So they'd have me work it off. So I didn't need these drug dealers anymore to be up under them, but they would still come and buy stuff from me. Okay. So at this point, I decided, like, you know what? Like, I'm gonna start my own business. I'm gonna do my thing, and I'm gonna show these people that there is. I'm gonna show these people how to live. Like, I really believe that like the way that they lived was some type of evil way, and I had a better way to live. We don't got to do it like that. We don't got to go jump these people to take their electronics. We can just buy it from them. I had all these weird ideas. At the same time, they were always telling me, you know what? He stole something. You got to make an example out of him. You got to do this. Oh, what? Like, I remember they were like, this girl stole something from me, and they were like, hey, we'll send those girls to beat her up. You know what I mean? And they're like, I'm like, she's pregnant. And they're like, she ain't pregnant in the face.
Wow.
I'm like, okay, you know what I mean? I was like, that's true. So what happened is I thought that I was doing something, but I was definitely losing. And whether I wanted to admit it, and I did not want to admit this, I was becoming more and more like them all the time.
And what year are we at right now?
We're probably in like 2016, 2017.
Okay.
I was becoming more and more like them. I was becoming more vicious. I was, if you need me to do something, like we can go do something, like whatever y'all need me to do. I thought that I would never, and I remember when I was with these people at first, I thought that the things that they do, they didn't include me in any of like the extracurricular activity they would go out and do.
Yeah.
Because they'd be like, you know what, he ain't built like that. But I wanted to be built like that now. Like I want to show y'all. I want y'all to see what I'm willing to do. I want y'all to see how down I am. So I started becoming a little bit more and more like that the further on things went. And that's when I really, there's something I always think about. You know, it's so weird to believe in one thing and go against your own self. Like that to me is like the ultimate loss. Like even though it's not natural for me to do this, I'm going against my own natural inclination of how I do things. Like that's like an internal warfare that I was fighting like every day at that point.
Yeah, you're going against your own morals.
Yeah.
The reason why I asked that question is because I said this is getting close to rock bottom. So
we're getting close. We're getting close. But I'll tell you how things kind of came to an abrupt end. So I started getting arrested more and more often.
Mm-hmm.
They kept finding drugs on me. The judge kept telling me, you know what? Like, start telling me, I don't want to send you to prison, but you're starting to show up here pretty often, and you always got something on you. So in 2018, probably October 2nd, what I did for these drug dealers now is I lived at this house with the fifth wheel, and people from all over, like I feel like I'm like doing commerce, like I'm building up the financial stability of the neighborhood now.
This 2017, right?
This is 2018. 2018.
Okay.
2018. I got all these people coming to me, like, and they know I got drugs and whatever. There was like a park that all these homeless people stayed at, and I would entertain them, and so I know I developed an eye for value. So if you got a high-end bicycle, or you got coins, or stamps, or cell phones, or laptops, I started dabbling in all that. Like I would have like a storehouse of all kinds of stuff that I'll give you a little bit of meth for. And then the dealers would come and they would check out my inventory, see what I have, and I would sell them whatever to get more drugs, get cash, whatever it may be. So this is my little marketplace I'm running now. So I had all these dealers that I was with, like all different dealers from all different areas. They were somewhat connected, but they all were their own separate entity. So one of them comes to me one day and says, hey, I need you to go up north with me and work on my connections computers. Now, I remember in my heart being like, I don't want to do this. I can't do this. I don't want to do this. But he was like, oh, you know, it's going to be a come up for you. You know what I'm saying? You're going to make money. It's going to be good. So I was like, okay. So we jump in the car. We start heading up north. It turns out that he said that in front of his girlfriend, but we weren't actually going to work on his Connect's computers. Where we were going is there was a drug dealer up in Cordish Lakes that had a daughter he wanted to go see. Okay. So we get up to this dealer's house and we walk into his house and he's like, oh, what are you guys here for? And he's like, hey, I wanted to respectfully invite your daughter out or whatever. And he's like, okay. He's like, let me let y'all know something right now. He was like, don't get in a hotel in the city. Whatever you do, like, I don't know what y'all planning on doing, but don't get in a hotel. So we get the girl, we walk out the house, get in the truck. First thing she says is, you want to get a hotel room? He's like, yep. Yep. We go get this hotel, walk in. As soon as we get in there, we're sitting there for a few minutes, and dude's like, Chaz, move around, like, get out. You know what I mean? Like, go find something to do. And I'm like,
I thought I was working on a computer.
Basically, you know what I mean? Like, go where? You know what I'm saying? He's like, go. So I leave for a couple hours. I just go driving around and walk around buying lottery tickets. You know what I'm saying? There's not much to do in Cordish Lakes. So there's not a lot. You can do. I come back. I park out front. This girl comes out front and she's like, hey, come inside. And I'm like, does he want me to come inside? And she's like, yeah, come inside. It's fine. I'm going to call a girl for you. And I was like, all right. So I go inside and this girl gets on the phone And she's like, hey, yeah, there's 2 of them. Yeah, they got a whole bunch of drugs. Okay, you're on your way right now? Okay, perfect. Cool, see you soon. I think about how weird that phone call sounded.
Yeah, that sounded like a call to the cops.
Like 10 minutes later, doom, 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 doom. I look outside.
That girl's strong as hell. Why she knocking like that?
There's like, I wish it had been a strong girl, but no, it's like cops like 9, 10 strong.
Wow.
And they open the door and they're like, we have a report of drug use in here. Now, I've been smoking a little at this point, but not a whole lot. I'm still not even sure what's going on. These cops pull us out. They get us all separated. They put each one of us in a car. They're all talking to each one of us. They call the dog. It's like 10 o'clock in the morning. We have to wait for the dog, so they're not releasing anybody. So we just got to sit in the car and wait while they try to ask questions. They search the dude's truck. They find a 9mm. He's a prohibited possessor. Boom. He's automatically, that's your truck. You're off. Okay. Wow. So I'm sitting there. It's probably about 5, 6 o'clock at night. I had fallen asleep in the back of the car. This cop comes over, wakes me up and says, get out of the car. You're under arrest. And I'm like, under arrest for what? And he's like, for the 19 grams of meth, for the 5 grams of heroin, for kidnapping this girl, for assaulting her, and I'm like, what are you talking about? You know what I mean? They take me and they're shackling me, and I'm telling this detective, like, I didn't do none of that stuff. What are you talking about? And I remember him being like, hey, bro, sometimes you just get caught up. And that was like the scariest statement I'd ever heard. Because everything that my parents had ever said about guilty by association and watch who you're friends with and you better
know who you hang around.
It all just come to fruition in that moment.
Wow.
They take me and they locked me in solitary confinement. And I remember not doing well. Like, I always considered myself to have like a strong mind. I thought I had like a strong mind. Solitary confinement is no joke. I was in there for like 5 days, and I thought like I was starting to go crazy. Like, I was really like
self-deprivation, bro.
Yeah, like it was like, because I didn't talk to nobody. They just let me walk around for an hour and then put me back in there. My meals, they just shoved them in. Like, that was it. Like, it was too much.
They took you straight into that unit?
I went straight to night court. This judge read the charges against me. I said, I'm not guilty of any of that. And he said, whatever. They went straight to solitary confinement. No general pop. No, you're in solitary. This counselor at the jail was like, you know what? I don't think he's going to do too well in there. Like, you need to put him back in gen pop. Like, because I really felt like I was losing my mind in there. I really felt like I was really losing it. They put me in gen pop. As soon as they put me in Gym Pop, 20 minutes later, they called my name, roll up, you're out of here. I guess that girl had recanted the story because I hadn't done any of those things to her. So they let me go. I found a way to call some of my people from Phoenix. They came up to They came up to actually Camp Verde, because that's where the jail is. They came to Camp Verde and picked me up. And here I am thinking, I'm out. I'm safe. Everything's good. It's going to be all right now. She took her story back. It's over. As soon as everybody finds out I'm out, all these drug dealers start showing up. Started being like, how'd you get out, bro?
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, what do you mean, how'd I get out? And they're like, how did you get out? And I was like, I didn't do any of those things. They let me go. And they were like, well, why is he still in jail and you're out when you're the one that had all the charges? You're the one that had the kidnapping and assault charges. I'm like, it wasn't true. And they're like, we'll see. These guys came and picked me up, and they dragged me off to this house, and they beat me up for a while. They let me know that they were just waiting for the paper to show up. And this beating was just to let me to think about what I did, because somebody was coming to kill me. They were like, we got these other guys coming, and they're like, you just know you're going to be taking your last breath soon. It's over for you. Now, I'm like, it's not that serious. It's not real. Like, y'all wouldn't do that to me. Like, how long we been cool? Like, come on now. Like, it's not gonna go down like that. There was this one drug dealer who had always, I don't know what he saw in me. But he was the type of guy, like, if I did some work from him on a computer and it wasn't done right, he'd be like, no, I'm not paying for this. You're going to fix this, and you're going to make this up to me. If he gave me some money and I was supposed to do something with it and I didn't do the right thing with it, he'd be like, nope, you're going to pay me that money back. He didn't have me beat up or anything, but he held me accountable for everything I ever did. he came to me and he said, bro, you got to come stay at my house. And I was like, why? And he was like, because they're going to kill you. And I'm like, they're not going to kill me. He was like, they're talking about driving you out in the desert and beating you up and just leaving you tied up to something in the desert and just leaving you to let the elements have you. He was like, they are going to murder you. Like, I'm not playing with you.
You were able to use your phone? How did you talk to him?
When I wasn't in jail no more. I wasn't in jail no more.
No, but you said that those guys had dragged you
they let
out,
me
right?
go. They let me go. That was just a warning.
Oh, okay, all right.
Somebody's going to be coming to kill you.
That was just cause. Like,
okay, I see. I thought maybe they held you captive in there.
No, as soon as they beat me up, they actually they smoked me out after they beat me up. So here, smoke this.
Feel better, bro.
Yeah, I feel better. And they were like, but you're a dead man. You know what I mean? Like, just, and I really did not. I really was thinking there was some type of like justice that I was gonna. You'll see. Like, I didn't snitch. Like, you can't. That's what happened. Like, but I found out that like in my neighborhood, nobody believed me. Either people were too scared to help me, so nobody was gonna let me hide me out or help me because they were too scared of the consequences. They were like, you ain't gonna bring all that over here.
Yeah.
Because they knew they'd be under the same consequences I was under, or they believed that I had snitched. So I had built up this whole reputation as I'm Chaz and this is who I am and this and that. And one day that got taken from me. And oh my God, that was so infuriating because I wanted my respect. I wanted my name back. So when this dealer's like, you're gonna have to stay at my house. I'm gonna have to hide you out till we can figure out what to do with you. I actually was like, I don't want to do that. Like, and he was like, do you not understand what I'm trying to explain? Like, they're going to kill you. So it's strangely enough, this is where like this where I think like God had always been protecting me, obviously, because there's so much stuff I ain't even told you about. But this is the moment where I actually became like suggestible because I was like, all right, so I'm hiding out in this dude's shed. When people come over to buy drugs, I gotta hide because nobody can know that I'm over here or they're gonna be at his house. You know what I mean? Like they're gonna show up there. So I gotta hide or he got to take me to a safe house, somebody he knows that doesn't know any of these people. He got to drop me off there when he has to go on runs. And I just continued to do the same thing at his house, get high, try to sell electronics. One day, it was December 20th, 2018. He came and got me and he was like, is this all you want for your life? And I was like, what are you talking about? He's like, you're just going to sell drugs and work on computers. He was like, you could probably own a computer store if you wanted to. Like, this is all you want? And I was like, well, you know what? Like, these people, they took my respect and they did this and that, whoop-de-whoop. And he was like, I'll tell you what. He was like, I'll get you a gun and then I'll tell you what's going to happen. He was like, you're either going to kill them and you're going to go to prison or they're going to kill you. He was like, that's it. Those are only two options. And I didn't like those two options. I was like, well, I don't like those. I don't want either one of those things. And he's like, you know what? He's like, that's it. I'm not giving you no more drugs. He's like, you're going to go to rehab. He's like, you're going to leave here and you're not going to come back. And you're going to start a new life. And when he said that, like I did not, everything that he just said in that statement, I had no concept of and did not want that. Like, I was like, I can't leave here. Like, I don't even know what that's about. Like, I don't know. I've never been to rehab. All I know about rehab is that people go and they get out and they go right back to getting high. Like, that's all I know. And I think back to that moment and I didn't wake up that morning thinking, you know what? It's December 20th, 2018. And today I'm going to change my life. That's not what happened. He said, I'm not going to give you any more drugs. And it just stuck because that was the last time I ever used anything. To this day. It was shortly after that he went and he took me and he got me he ordered my social security card. He took me to get my ID. He took me to get my food stamps because he was like, I'm not just gonna kick you out like into the world. He was like, I'm gonna make sure you have everything you need to survive. Like I'm gonna make it so you don't got no excuses. He gave me some cash and he dropped me off at the shuttle. And he told me, he's all, the streets won't miss you, but they'll welcome you back. He was like, just remember that.
Yeah, that's deep.
And then I got on the bus, got back to Tucson, started walking down the street, because the Ark was the only place that would take me. There was no other place they wouldn't take me for some reason. So I started walking down the street, and I get to this address, and I remember this used to be a Ramada.
Mm-hmm.
When I was a teenager and lived in Tucson, my friend Everett used to manage this Ramada.
I hear it was Trapville, bro, back in the
And it
day.
was. And like we would tear this place up. You know what I mean? It's happy hour. We drank everything.
That's crazy.
And when I saw that this was the Ark, this was where I was going to get clean now, I was like, oh my God, that's a God shot. I was like,
Full circle.
that's crazy. I'm like right back where I started, but different.
Wow. All right, so hold the phone. I got a couple questions.
Sure.
So at the beginning of the episode, I thought, maybe I'm confused, but I thought you said that you came here January of 2018.
Well, I got clean December, so he wouldn't give me no more. No, I got here.
I think we might be a year ahead. I think
Okay.
this
So
was
I got here January 2019. That's
Yeah.
what it is. Yeah.
Okay,
So
dang,
I got here
okay.
December 3rd. I got clean December 2018 and got here January 3rd. I guess that would be 2019. Yeah.
2019.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then did anything ever come like from that girl with the drug dealer that was like, hey, don't be putting her in no hotel room? Was that part of the retaliation? Was that too,
All I
or-
know about her is that she had gotten in trouble a couple of weeks earlier with the cops, and she was looking for somebody to get that she could, you know what I mean, inform on. And the last thing I heard is that her house got a lot of bullet holes in it.
Wow.
I don't know anything other than that. Like,
Wow.
because after that, like it was shortly, I stayed out of that. But I know that all those people, I know now that that drug dealer saved my life because whether I thought they were serious or not, they were way more serious than I could have ever assumed.
Man. So you walked into the doors and like from the moment you came in, were you ready for these classes, for all this knowledge and wisdom that was coming through? Or like, was it like a change that drastic or did it take time?
I got here and you know what? I remember that first night and I laid in that bed and I slept. And it was the first time I had slept in so long. Because I was used to being up for weeks in time. And even when I did sleep, I didn't sleep on a bed. I fell asleep like working at a computer desk. Because that's all I did was tinker with computers. You know what I mean? That's for hours and hours. Next computer. So I hadn't slept. As soon as I got in here, like, I think that there was a desperation in me that I didn't even understand. All I knew is that the only thing I knew when I got here for sure is that whatever I had done up until this point was all wrong. Like at some point after that dealer talked to me, I'm sitting there thinking to myself, look at your life right now. Like there's people trying to kill you. You have no relationship with your family. You haven't talked to your family in years. No one's trying to be around you. You are jobless. You are penniless. You can't be employed. You have your work history ends years ago. Your last friend is a drug dealer who just dropped you off and your drug dealer sent you to rehab. Like that's never good. I know. You might want to think about that. Your drug dealer sent you to rehab and you had money.
Yeah.
And I looked around and I was like, oh my God, like I think I have really destroyed my life. Like, and I think it was the first time I looked up to God and I was like, oh, God, I don't know what I'm doing. And I think God looked down at me and was like, thank you.
He's all, bruh. That's crazy.
I think he really was like, you just realized that? Like, I've been knowing that. You know what I mean?
Sending you signs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I've been trying to tell you for a long time.
Yeah.
Wow.
So you end up staying here 4 months. I mean, did you feel like a dramatic change right away, or was it like Buddha was asking? Was it kind of gradual, and then things just kind of start sticking, right? And that light bulb comes on, and we kind of we give that power over to our higher power. And it's like just I'm here for the ride. I'm done swimming upstream, and I'm just gonna put my legs and my arms in this tube and go where this takes me.
So I'm kind of an extremist. Like whatever we're doing, we doing it.
Yeah.
Drinking all that.
Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? Like I said, like whatever I did, I went all the way with it. So I think actually at first I had no idea what, like I would go to these meetings and these people would be talking about they'd been clean or sober for like 15, 20 years. And I was like, shut up. You know what I mean? Like you ain't been clean for no 15, 20 years. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't believe anybody. I think the more I was here, like in the first couple of weeks, a few of the people that were here got a hold of me, and that would probably be like John and Joel and Patrice, those people that used to work here.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they started pouring into me. Like, I don't know what I think it was just obvious that I needed to be poured into.
Mm-hmm.
And at some point, by like the time that I got out of residential, I didn't know how I could live. I didn't know what a life would look like clean. I was like, I don't even know who I would be clean or sober, because I've never been that. Like, there was never like any period of time where I'd been clean or sober, so I don't even know who that person is.
Mm-hmm.
But I decided, you know what? I don't know what it is, but I'll give it a shot. I'll try it.
Real quick shout out to John. He actually has a podcast called the Bacon Bits Podcast.
I've seen it a couple times.
Okay, cool. Just making sure, because
yeah.
I got he's always kicking wisdom down. Shout out to John. But yeah, man. I mean, that's incredible, bro. So looking at your life now, I had heard when you had initially left that you had moved to Flagstaff, that things had changed up. What's your life looking like now, bro?
Man, that was those first 2 years of recovery was a weird period. You know what I mean? Like, I determined in my mind, like, if I make a mistake, it's going to be a new mistake.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to be the same old mistake I make. So I didn't go to Flagstaff. I had nowhere to go. And Danny actually found me a place, sober living house to go. So I get to the sober living house. I hadn't found a job yet. And the reason I hadn't found a job is because I still had felony drug charges from, I was telling you about, like, I started going to jail more and more.
Yeah.
Well, I hadn't taken care of those charges in Phoenix. So I kept trying to get jobs, and I kept getting fired from jobs. And so what eventually happened is I came up with a scheme. I was like, oh, you know what? I'll just go to school, and I'll get, you know what I'm saying? I'll get my student aid. I'll pay for the sober living house, have some money to live off for a while, and that's how it's going to work. Well, I filed for my student aid, and I ended up getting a job. The job found out that I hadn't taken care of those charges, so they fired me on the second day of school. Because I didn't go to school on the second day, they pulled my federal funds. So I didn't get the money. So my whole little scheme that I came up with crashed down around me, and I actually had to leave the sober living house, and I ended up at the Gospel Rescue Mission.
Okay.
And the shelter. And man, did I think that I had failed. I was like, oh man, like, you're not supposed to go from rehab to sober living to a shelter. You're supposed to go from rehab to sober living to a home, you know what I mean? Or an apartment or something. Like, I really jacked it up now, but it turned out, I remember being in that first day and like just looking dumbfounded, like I'm in a shelter, like, what is this? And then being like, random people come being like, you're in the right place. And that was such a blessing that I ended up there, because I needed that. Like, they got this program I was like, life recovery, you can do a job program, life recovery, or you can just stay a couple of days and leave. And I was like, life recovery, that sounds good. But it was actually a Christian discipleship program. And so I ended up in that, going to classes and really having a chance to reignite my faith and get my mind together some more.
Amen, bro. That's great.
That was helpful. I did move to Flagstaff because part of this I haven't told you is I had a child. I had a 6-year-old son that I hadn't seen since he was about 6 months old.
Okay.
And his mother was in Flagstaff. And she said, oh, well, you know what? Why don't you just come here and you could reestablish your relationship with your son? And I thought that was a good idea. I didn't realize that also when I walked in the room and it said 2 + 1, I didn't have the wherewithal to think.
That's in the Bible.
I didn't see that she saw us also becoming like we were going to be a little family.
Yeah.
And that's not what I came there for. So I ended up having to leave Flagstaff and move back to Phoenix.
Okay. And how, if you don't mind me asking, how was that relationship with your boy? Do you at least still have one now? Or are you working on that?
My kid, the other day, so I take him every week. And it was really rough at first. But about 2 weeks ago, we were out at this little lake and we were just fishing. And he loves to fish. And we're just sitting there fishing, chilling. We got nothing to do on a Saturday. And he just looks over at me and he's like, this is so relaxing. He's like, I love daddy son time.
That's cool.
And man,
your heart grew 3 sizes that day.
I was like, you just watch yourself get out of trouble pass. You know what I'm saying? Like
PS5.
Yeah, like I'm not gonna say it, but sometime in the future, you know what I mean, when you go do something and you're not gonna get the punishment that you was gonna get, it's all because of that statement right there.
And he's 6?
He's 9 now.
Oh, he's 9. Okay.
Now he's 9. Yeah. So ever since I was going to these meetings in Flagstaff, and I was talking to people in these NA meetings about how ill-equipped I felt and to be a father, and I had no idea. I'd never been a father, and all of a sudden I have a 6-year-old. Like, this is crazy. Like, this, how's this gonna work? And this one girl that I really respect, she came up to me after the meeting, and she put her hand on my shoulder, and she was like, "Be consistent." And I was like, "What?" And she was like, "With your son." She's like, "Just be consistent." And that's what I have strived for ever since there. Like, whatever it is we're doing, if I'm in life, if I say I'm gonna be there on this Saturday, I'm gonna be there every Saturday.
That's cool.
If I told you no, I meant no. If I told you we're gonna talk, and I told you I would be willing to, even if you mess up, I'm willing to listen. I'm be willing to listen, because of anything that I realized what she was saying is like, he needs to know that you're gonna be there. Like, don't be jacking him around where he doesn't know if you're gonna be there, because that's gonna mess his confidence up. So I just be consistent.
That's great, dude. Breaking, for me, I mean, I have to say it every time I hear it or see it, as breaking a generational curse, man. I don't know what the situation was with your pops, but I'm guessing he probably didn't have his pops around, or a good, a father figure. So the fact that you're able to do that, man, you're breaking that curse, and that's a beautiful thing.
Do you have a relationship with your mom and your dad nowadays?
So,
how does that look?
Before I left for rehab, I'd called my mother, and I said, "Hey, Mom," and she was like, "What do you want?" And I was like, "Ooh, that was painful." You know what I mean? This is before I got to the ARC. And I told her I was going to rehab, and she was like, "Okay, well, I really hope that helps you and everything." And I didn't, as far as my father, I said nothing. So the whole time I was at the ARC, the whole time that I was at the sober living house, the whole time I was at the shelter, just about 9-10 months into it, I didn't say nothing to anybody in my family. I did not say I was clean or trying in this new life. I did not say anything. Somebody impressed upon me when I was at the Gospel Rescue Mission. They were like, you should probably reach out to your family. They're like, that's part of recovery, and let them know you're okay. Like, they don't even know what happened or where you are. So I called my sister, and my little sister has always been so amazing. She was like, she's like, "Where are you?" She's like, "I'm gonna come down there, and I'm gonna bring you some money, and I'm gonna bring you some clothes," because I had nothing. I had nothing. And she was like, I'm on my way down there. She shows up. And I go and I walk out the door of the Gospel Rescue Mission, and she gets out one side, and my dad got out the other side.
Wow.
Sorry.
That's all right, brother.
You're good.
So my dad's also, he's a minister. Like, sometimes he'll preach. And up until this point, I think every conversation we had was like, well, I don't want to preach to you, but like, I was like, really? Because it sounds very much like a Sunday sermon. So he's getting ready to start. You know what I mean? Like, I know you said that, but I feel like the camera's on. He just walked up to me, and he just hugged me, and he was like, "I'm so thankful you're alive." And my relationship with my parents totally changed. Like, I realized that long ago had been the point where I should be blaming them or have these resentments toward my parents for ruining my life. I realized I had taken control of my life and started making the decisions many, many years ago. So this hatred or resentment or whatever feelings I had towards my parents, they were really misguided. My parents had never, like, it wasn't like they didn't want to help me. I didn't want to be helped. I think about, speaking of, there's a story, in the Bible when the disciples are on the water and they think they're about to drown because the storm comes, and Jesus comes walking on the water, and they're like, "Oh, it's a ghost." You know what I mean?
Yeah, and then Peter.
Yeah. So I think about that, and what I see in that is like, he came to help them, but he didn't look like the kind of help that they were expecting. So they didn't want that kind of help. And that's like my whole life. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of people in my life came to want to help me, but it didn't look like the kind of help that I wanted. So I rejected their help because that's not, I want you to help me like I want to be helped. I want you to come looking like the kind of help that I want. I don't want that kind of help. And that really caused a lot of unnecessary extended years of me not being able to get myself together.
Wow, that's deep, bro. It's a great realization, though, you know, and I think a lot of people can listen to that and take something valuable out of it.
Oh yeah, everything he was talking about. That's the reason why I was so quiet, because everything you were talking about literally is biblical. What you were saying, all the way even to the time when you talked about the boat, when they were on the boat and the boat was getting ready to sink.
Yeah,
and they saw him walking across there and they thought it was a ghost. And what did Peter say?
Lord, if that's you, bid me to come.
And so what did he do? What did he do?
He got out and walked on water.
But then what did he start focusing on?
Himself.
Yep,
and he started drowning.
Yep, and he started drowning. Exactly. And then what did Jesus tell him? You have little faith.
You have little faith. Yeah, man.
That's how we see the world to this day, man.
Yeah. Super proud of you, bro, and I'm glad everything is you know, seems to be moving along. Finding your life. What you said you're working? You're not working with electronics anymore.
So, no. What I do now is I try to sponsor people. I have a sponsee. I try to give back what was given to me.
That's biblical.
You know, if I can, I try to just make myself available to help people. All right. As far as working, no, I don't work with electronics. Well, I do work with electronics, but I don't build computers.
Okay.
Like, I don't, you know, actually like laptops, like it's actually it's not a trigger, but it kind of makes me sick a little bit. So I don't do that. And really what I do is, so let me tell you about some of the blessings I've had.
Okay.
Like, first of all, the relationship with my son, because that was something that I was sincerely and really concerned about. Like, I was like, you know what? Like, I don't know if he's already made up his mind. Maybe he don't want a dad no more. You know what I mean? Maybe he's like old enough to like, where you been? You know what I mean? Like, I didn't know, but that was an irrational fear. Like, he definitely wants his dad. My parents, I go over there and I call my mom and I go over and see my dad every weekend. Not because I got something to say, not because I need anything. I just go see about him. I just go check on him. Just because I used to have this thing where like I'd be like, well, I got a phone, y'all could call me. You know what I mean? Like, I'm past all that. That ain't got nothing to do with nothing. I don't know where that attitude came from, but I don't live my life like that no more. I don't treat you based on how you treat me. I'm gonna be stable in who I am at all times, regardless. So I'm gonna be over there to see about you. Relationship with my sister. As far as my work, there was still a time where I couldn't get a job because I had all these charges. So I got my job that I have now, and I'd gone on so many interviews, and they were like, "You got 2 undesignated felonies. Like, we're good. we're good. Plus you got theft charges.
We're gonna pass."
Yeah. Yeah. But I called this company, and this lady's talking to me, and she's talking about the job and everything, and I'm like, well, you know what? That all sounds great, but let me tell you something, because I was like, I don't feel like wasting my time. I don't want to drive down there for no reason. And I was like, ma'am, I want to tell you about some stuff in my background. And I was like, I just want you to know. And she was like, sir, I'm going to stop you right there. And I was like, okay. And she was like, we're not concerned with who you were. We're only concerned with who you want to be going forward. So if you'd like to come in for the interview, come on in. And I still work there to this day. And in the meantime, I was doing all that. Like, when I was here, I gained this perception that, like, perspective. I wanted like a full recovery. Like, I don't want to just recover from drugs. Like, I wanted life recovery. Like, I want financial recovery. I want relationship recovery. I want spiritual recovery. I wanted physical recovery. Like, I want it all. Like, and so that's what I focused on. So one of the things I did is I started fighting all those charges. My probation officer that I had, they let me. I was supposed to be on probation for 2 years, and after like 6-9 months, she was like, "This one's not going to use again. You can let him off."
Wow.
So they just let me off those charges. I went and I fought them, and I got them knocked down to misdemeanors. And then tomorrow I'm getting ready to file to have them sealed for my record. So so everything else, all those other theft charges, I've already have sealed. So I just have these last drug charges. I'm gonna have those sealed, and it's gonna be like the slate is wiped clean, like it never happened.
That's amazing, dude.
So at my work, I get these accounts, right? And there's a police agency in Phoenix, and I'm not gonna say which one, but there's a police agency, and they called me and they're like, "Hey, we need you to come look at our equipment that we work on down here. Can you come look at it?" I was like, "Yes." We go down there. We meet this guy. He's a well-known officer. He's well decorated. He likes me, and I have a mentor at my work. He likes us. He says, "You know what? I'm going to stop working with this business. I'm going to start working with your business." Okay. Starts dealing with us. We keep going out to the site, looking at different things. And finally, he's like, "You know what? I want you guys to do all of my city's work. So here's what I'm going to need you to do. But I can't always go with you guys. So I need you to do a background check on you. So we're going to do that. And then you can walk around escorted." And my whole countenance, like, I was like, "Oh my God." So here's where it ends right here. Like, this is going to be the end right now. I'm like distraught. I'm like, what am I going to say to this guy? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, how am I going to explain this? Like, he's going to be like, "I'm not working with your company. Like, this is the kind of people you hire." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm like, there's only one thing to do. So
Be honest and tell him.
we're out there, and I'm like, "Hey, sir, I got some stuff I want to tell you." He's like, "What's up?" And I'm like, "I know those background checks cost money, and if you do a background check on me, you're gonna see this, and you're gonna see that." He's like, I was like, "You're gonna see some dangerous drug charges. You're gonna see some theft charges. You're gonna see just random. There's gonna be a litany of charges." Is what I'm trying to tell you, sir. I was like, "So if that is gonna hinder anything, like I just want to let you know, because I don't want you to run it and it'd be a waste of time of yours or mine." And he like looks at me and he's like, "Charles, if I run your background check and it comes back negative," he's like, "I'm gonna override it because you're my guy." So that was an amazing moment for me, because I have this key, and he gave it to me, and I walk into this police station. I walked right past the cops, just staring at them. I walk up to the boop, door opens. Walk up to the next door, boop, door opens. Walk up to the elevator, boop, the elevator opens. I get in the elevator with my guy, and I look over at him, and I was like, that was exhilarating.
That's cool, man. That's cool, dude.
Yeah, like I have another time we're out there, and we have this equipment we need to bring in, and he's like, "Oh, you're gonna have to bring that through the jail." And I'm like, "Okay." And I look at him, and he's like, "You got the key?" And I'm like, "To the jail?" And he's like, "You got the key?" So he takes me over, and I'm like, boom. You hear boom, lock unlocked,
Yeah.
and the door starts sliding open. And I'm like, "Oh my God." I have, like, to me, somebody told me, she was like, "If that doesn't let you know that you are full on in recovery, and whatever is in the past and it's over, I don't know what does." She was like, "Because if the place that you used to sit in, you now have the key to," she was like, "I don't know what else God can do."
Dude, that's real.
That.
That's nuts.
Wow,
That's
dude.
some good stuff, though.
Yeah,
That's
man.
what it's about, right?
Absolutely. That's beautiful, bro. That's a great story.
I mean, nothing else would make you feel that exhilarated.
Right. Like,
Right.
I was like,
You know?
my heart was,
Yeah.
that was
Yeah.
crazy.
It
Man.
just it's a very good thing for your character to see that, right? And to know what type of person you are. I share a lot. It's like we're born to be certain people. We get off the track and the road, and then hopefully some of us can get back to who we were meant to be, who God put us on this earth to be, right?
Yeah.
I fully agree, because a lot of it, as I try to dissect, like, sometimes still like, what happened? I realized that in those formative teenage years, I decided that whoever I wanted to be, I did not want to be me.
Yeah.
I did not want to be me. I did not like me. I did not like even the whole thing. So my real name was Charles, but like the name Chaz became like this other person that I had to like be and live up to, because Chaz was cool and Charles is a nerd. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I don't want to be a nerd. Like Charles don't get no girls. Like Charles don't get invited to the parties. Chaz does.
Yeah.
So this is who I have to be. So a big part of the peace and the getting rid of that like inner battle that I had was just being me. Like not like I can't be who you want me to be. I have to be me. I
Being
have
comfortable in who
and
we
being
actually
comfortable.
are,
Yes,
right?
Mm-hmm.
and it's and I'm okay.
Yeah.
And I'm okay. I don't gotta go drink, to forget about memories or talk to girls. I don't need to be high so that I can get more drugs, so I can stay high, so I can get more electronics, so I can get more drugs, so I can stay high. I don't have to live in that cycle anymore. I don't have to do anything like that anymore. Like I'm enough as I am.
Yeah, and that's a great place to be.
Yes.
No place like it.
What advice would you give to somebody out there who's lost right now and in that position that you were at?
I would say, hold on. Like, I look back over my life and this life in recovery, and I think there was a step. There was always a step. And I think if any moment, if I had given up, I would not be where I am, or I would have delayed that. If I had said, you know what, like, because there was a lot of times I was wondering, I was like, I don't know if this is worth it. You know what I mean? Like, this does not seem like I'm clean now, and now I have to feel these feelings, and my life isn't any better. Like, where are these? And you see other people, and they're like, people are going home to their families, and, oh, you're out of rehab, but we bought you a car. Like, that was not my experience. None of that was happening to me. Like, that, there was no girls waiting for me. Like, oh, you're clean. Like, that was not what I was experiencing. Like, everything to me seemed to be getting worse. But I feel like if people hold on, like, the blessing is not going to come when you think it's going to come. It may take a lot longer than you think it's going to come. But when it comes, you look back and you realize you were blessed all along. Yeah. So I would say just stick with it. Like, even when it gets hard, don't pick up, don't use, and ask for help.
Yep.
And ask for help. Like, you don't got to do it by yourself. Like, there are a lot of people come into recovery, I think, with a lot of trust issues, because, I mean, why not? Like, everybody you've known previously was trying to rob you or shank you or whatever, you know what I mean? But there are some, as you get a clearer mind, you recognize that there are people that are not out there to hurt you. Like, some of these people actually just want to see you do better, and that's all they want for you. And if you can recognize that, you can go a long way.
Thank you for saying the ask for help part, because I just got a text message for someone asking for some help.
Yeah.
Man, well, thank you, Chaz. For real, bro, most definitely.
It's a great podcast, man. I really appreciate you taking the time to drive down here. I know, we all get busy and stuff, but when we do stuff like this, somebody's going to get a lot out of your story. I know I did, and I appreciate you being honest and, showing that compassion and being able to show feelings. And I really relate about, the parents thing is like, I always just hated disappointing my dad, and finally I don't have to live through that shit. And it's such a great feeling,
Right.
I appreciate you, and I'm happy where you're at. You wear it well,
Yeah.
So,
thank you.
Thanks so much for coming on the Artcast.
Yeah, dude, thank you, man. And the same here. It's like we meet a lot of different clients. Thousands of them come through a year. There's a few of them that just stick with me, bro, and you're one of those dudes. So I'm so happy to hear that, bro. I'm very proud of you, man, and we wish you nothing but the best, dude.
Appreciate all that. Love to y'all too.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, give it up one more time for our homeboy, Chaz.
Yeah,
You are cool. Charles, yeah. Hey, Chaz, Charles, bro, you know what? You're cool, bro. You're the best type of nerd.
Either way.
Best type of nerd there is, dog. For everyone else out there, man, we thank you so much for tuning in. We wish you guys have a beautiful and safe week, and we will see you on the next one for episode 50. Much love, God bless, and peace. What's going on, everybody? This is Buddha from the Artcast, and I just wanted to thank you for checking out this week's episode. It means a lot, and if you could share it with a friend or a loved one, somebody in need in recovery, or maybe somebody who just needs that little bit of extra positivity in their life, we'd greatly appreciate it. If you would like to join us here on the Artcast, either in the studio live or online, hit us up. The links are down in the show notes of this episode, and on there, you can find direct links to our main website here at Americas Rehab Campus and all of our social media platforms. Follow us. We keep the posts positive and motivational, focused on recovery, health, and wellness. As you know, in this modern day and age, we need as much love as possible, y'all. And as always, if you or somebody you know is in need of substance abuse treatment, please don't hesitate to give us a call. We're open 24 hours a day, and our direct phone number is 1-833-272-7342. Once again, that phone number is 1-833-272-7342. I hope you all have a beautiful rest of your day. Much love and God bless. Peace.